In this lecture, we are going to see the web application hacking. In the last lecture, we have seen the web server hacking. Basically, the web applications are the mediator between the end user and the web server. So, these web applications will take the input and will process that input and will forward that input to the web servers. Based upon the input received by the web servers will perform the related operations and the result will be returned back to the web application, and web applications will show to the end user via some display or maybe via result or etc. So that is the reason, since the web applications are the intermediary things between the end user and web servers, web applications will also become the entry point for the hacking. There are several independent agencies available which will mainly focus on performing the research on the web applications hacking, how what is the impact of the web application hacking or the attacks performed on the web applications during a financial year or during a year. These kind of reports used to be come out at the end of every year. So a report on web application attack show that PHP applications are three times more vulnerable to the cross-site scripting attacks compared to the .NET applications. So this is the outcome of a report, outcome of a research. It was identified that since the PHP is a open source coding language that is available over the internet, that can be downloaded and for free of cost, and people started downloading it and developing the applications, and they are using the WAMP server or LAMP server for launching their applications. This is what they have identified, and also they have identified that the applications that are running on PHP are three times more vulnerable than the .NET applications. That means you can check for cross-site scripting attack vulnerability if any website is using PHP as the logical programming or the front-end programming. Next one is AWS servers originated 20% of known vulnerability exploitation. Known vulnerability exploitations means there is a repository called CVS, which is called a commonly known vulnerabilities repository, in which it will list what are the most commonly occurring vulnerabilities whenever you know a version of a web server or whenever you know the version of the programming that you are using. So based on that, you can find a default vulnerabilities. So basically, this AWS server originated 20% of the known vulnerabilities. That means these known vulnerabilities, whenever people know it, usually they will try to use the related payload and will try to exploit that. So these vulnerabilities, whenever you identify it, immediately the vendors has to perform or develop the patches and release those patches so that the users of the servers should download the patches and install. Thereby, these vulnerabilities cannot be exploited by the hackers. But because of the ignorance of the updation, these servers are prone to known vulnerability attacks. Next one is retail websites are more targeted over the internet. Retail websites means the one who have developed their website and launched on their own without having the help of any domain launchers or domain servers or service providers were the most targeted on over the internet, because they don't maintain proper firewalls or they are somewhat vulnerable to the operating system features, And sometimes the networking feature that they might have not configured properly, or security configurations might have not done properly, because it was maintained by the individual. Usually a domain service provider or maybe any other reputed organizations, service organizations, usually will maintain all these things like firewalls, DMZs, and security softwares. All these things will be maintained by them. So that is the reason it is very difficult for the hacker to attack or target those websites or web applications. So they are mainly focusing on the retail websites. Websites running WordPress were attacked more compared to other CMS systems. So the websites which are using the WordPress as the CMS was attacked more because there may be several vulnerabilities present in the WordPress. Those vulnerabilities are exploited by the hacker. And it is also observed that nearly there is an increase of 40% in the attacks of the web applications. That means compared to the last year, this year 40 more percent was the attack percentage was increased. Because as the years are growing, the number of web applications developed and launched on the internet are also growing. So that reason the hackers are having more chances or more sources to target. Next one is different hacking techniques identified frequently on the web applications. So here the list is given according to the descending order of the attack performed. The first and foremost are the maximum number of attacks on the web applications were performed with the help of use of the stolen credentials. Stolen credentials means these credentials may be stolen from the target user, maybe via looking into their diary or looking into their laptop or just by stealing their credentials. And this stealing of credentials may be done via session hijacking or maybe any another way in technical content. But in generally also these credentials can be stolen, like knowing the credit card information or via knowing the credit card PIN, etc. Next, highest number of attacks performed is use of backdoors. Launching of backdoors in the computer, maybe trojans or maybe any other things, and exploiting them. We have seen in the last videos that is attacking Windows system, in which a backdoor was sent, which is called reverse TCP, onto the Windows system, and whenever the user on the Windows system double clicks it or enables it, automatically a reverse TCP shell will be created to the hacker. Then the hacker will take the control of the computer. So this kind of backdoors are used for performing the web application attacks. Third most commonly performed attack is SQL injection attack. So structured query language injection was done uh, with the help of URLs. That means which are attached to the URL, and this injection attacks were performed to reveal the sensitive information from the server. Next one is RFI. Next is abuse of functionality, brute force, cross-site scripting, path traversal, forced browsing, OS commanding, are the various other attacks that are performed on the web applications. But the first three are the most frequently conducted attacks on the web applications. So that is the reason we must be very careful in these three aspects, especially stolen credentials. The credentials should not be revealed out, first of all. Next one is use of backdoors. So don't download any application that is not known to you, or maybe sent from some unknown people, or don't open any spam mail, or don't reply to any spam mail. If you find any phishing mail, then immediately report to the security engineers at your organization, and they will try to investigate from where this spam has come or phishing has come. So that reason, don't respond to such mails. Next one is don't design the websites poorly so that SQL injections can be attacked. SQL injections can be performed. So these are the three main things that if you can avoid, automatically the chance of web application hacking is will come down, because around 55% of the attacks were performed with the help of stolen credentials. It was shown that around 48% of the attacks were performed using backdoors, and 35 to 40% of the attacks were conducted based on the SQL injection. Whereas the attacks from the 4 to 9, that is OS command, RFI to OS commanding, the percentage is below 15%. Basically, the OS commanding is the very toughest job because we cannot give the command to the OS. It is possible only if the OS is not upgraded properly, or if you are using the old version of the operating system, or maybe you may be using unpatched version of the operating system. Anyhow, whenever you are maintaining a big web application and web server, automatically the servers need to be upgraded, and this is the most commonly performed activity in any organization. So this can be ignored. But if you are using your own thing, like as it was shown here, the retail websites are more targeted over the internet. That means if you are launching your own website on your own web server with your own operating system, then you must be very careful in identifying the vulnerabilities of your own systems and rectifying them or upgrading to the latest versions. So this is the introduction of the web application hacking. Why the web application hacking is an important topic to learn. The reason is it is the main source for end user to connect with the web applications, web servers. That is the reason we must safeguard these web applications. Now we'll move on to the understanding of the web applications. Usually, the working of the web applications will be like this. There will be a computer or device which will be having the web browsers, because here web browsers should also be upgraded properly. Otherwise, what will happen? There may be some flaws available in the web browsers. Those flaws will also will become the main source for the attacker to target. Because, for example, if you look at Firefox 15 point some version is having the flaw, it was exploited like anything almost around 2 years back. Then afterwards, patches were released and the Firefox was upgraded, and now around latest version of 20 or something was going on. So web browser also to be frequently upgraded, because whenever you perform the banner grabbing or the grabbing activity on the web application, you will also come to know which user is using which browser, so that with that browser and version itself, the attacker can identify the common vulnerabilities present in that browser, and they may go for exploitation. And browsers will also perform reading of the HTML and may perform the running of the JavaScript or VB script, whereas other scripting activity, reading and all can be done by the web browsers. So injection of any malicious content in the JavaScript or VB script may lead to the hacking of the web application. This is the source where you can hack the web application. Next one is from the browser, the user will send the request, and the request will go to the internet service provider. Usually the internet service provider is one who will resolve the domain name, or we can say DNS service will be provided. DNS is the one which will give you the translation of your conventional website to the IP address of the corresponding website. Thereby, the request IP will go to the corresponding server. So the server may be Apache server, or maybe LAMP server, or WAMP server, or maybe any other server. The server software will respond to this. Sometimes the web server, if it requires the server related to the application, then application server will respond to it. If it is connected, or if the request is coming from the user which need a database, then the database software will respond to it. The database software will fetch the data and will give back to the web server, and web server will translate it into the HTML form or something, and the HTML form will be that is HTML output will be given back to the user. So in this, in the case of fetching the data, here there is a chance of SQL injection attacks. And sometimes, since the application server and web servers will also will also be installed on the top of the operating system, obviously these two softwares may take the control of the operating system by sending some commands, which are called operating system commands. So these operating system commands may also be executed if the attacker identifies any vulnerabilities in the web server or application server. So whenever you do this activity, that is the activity of fetching the data from the database server, and the attacker may also know with the help of the error messages and warning messages that are replied from the database, what is the version of the database software they are using, and with that version of the database server, they can come to know the common vulnerabilities on that server with the help of CVS repository, and they may use that particular payload and may exploit to capture or to compromise the database server. Whenever it is fetching, whenever the fetching is happening, they may go for fetching of the images, data files, HTML code, PHP code. Then the related data will be replied. Then finally, the response will be sent back to the user. And again, it will be sent back through the internet service provider. And finally, the response will come back to you. You look at these many operations are happening here. If any misconfiguration occurred in any one of this stage, from 1 to 12, in any one of this stage, then the entire system may also be compromised. So that is the reason one must be very careful in devising the web applications and configuring and setting up the web applications on the web servers. Now we'll see the web application architecture. Previously, we have seen the working of web application. The web application architecture. Basically, the understanding of web application architecture is also equally important, because all web applications will not use all services. For example, there may be simple web applications like filling of a form, or maybe a application form of a university. That is a simple web application. But if you look at the web applications like electronic commerce or online reservation systems like IRCTC, they have extensive services that are used by the applications. So by and large, what are the different web services or web applications use the web applications use the services, or the web services used by the web applications are was shown in this diagram. So here, first of all, domain name server will be there. The domain name server will try to resolve the domain names that you are presenting, and the user browser. Then finally, be going to the load balancer. The load balancer usually will go for balancing of the user requests. That means as the number of user requests occurs, obviously uh, it has to handle, the browser has to handle and has to communicate to the web servers in a sequential way, or in the way that it receives. So this load balancer will send the given request to the web application servers. The web application servers may be linked with the database, some caching services, job queues, full text search services, and other services like maybe cloud services. And this job queue again may go to the job servers. Here, all we have seen so far in any web application, there is a front end and maybe application logic may be written via PHP or .NET. Then there may be a web server linked to the database. Up to that, we have seen that is a three-tier architecture like that we have seen. But these web servers sometimes may also link it to many other services like processing of the jobs or processing of the cash services or something. That means if you might have submitted several jobs, those jobs may be submitted to the job queue, and job queue will process those jobs. For example, you are going to compress the files in batch online. So if you have submitted 100 files for compression, so this is a 100 jobs you are submitted to the web server, and that how it will handle and it will give the reply. That and all depends upon the job queue that it maintains. Then data firehouse, then data warehouse. If it is using cloud services, then it may go into the cloud. Then the CDN services. Then finally it will give back to the browser. See here, uh, before 2000, year 2000, you don't have this cloud data warehouses and all. Data warehouses are there, but not that much widely used at the time. But later on, this particular web architectures have been evolved like anything, and they are highly scalable to adopt new services, whatever is coming on the into the market. Earlier, only databases used to be there, and some job services used to be there. But this caching services, full text such services, other services like data warehouses, cloud storages, these are all the inventions of the past 2 decades. But earlier, these contents are not available. So that is the reason the web and application servers are more scalable in adopting or in integrating the other services. But one thing one must remember, as a hacker or as a penetration tester, all applications will not use all services. For example, if you are using the Google service, they may use cloud services. Okay, but if a simple web application like form filling and all may use simple database services, they may not use the cloud services. So first of all, you need to understand the web application procedure, then the architecture, then you need to plan the penetration testing process. So for this purpose, this application architecture was discussed. As I told you just now, in the year 2000 and before that, we don't have that dynamicity or dynamic nature in any website. The most of the websites that are presented at the time before 2000 year are static websites. That is called Web 1.0. Web 2.0 is one. It is aimed for building of dynamic user participation, collaboration, and social interaction infrastructure web applications. So it is especially aimed to develop the dynamic content in a simple and short form. So Web 2.0, where you find dynamic content like JavaScript, like Flash, or adding multimedia, and the users can directly participate, collaborate, socially interact. These kind of things will come under the Web 2.0. The main four features of Web 2.0 are the interoperability. Interoperability is the way of operating with other services. That is advanced gaming. You may also perform gaming operations and dynamic content, RSS generation. RSS means really simple syndications. Really simple syndications are the XML based technology where it will use the pattern of subscribe, publish and subscribe. This RSS feeds, feeds usually will follow this particular publish and subscribe pattern, majorly used by many of the news publishing sites. Like for example, a news publishing site has published a new news or might have composed a news, and all the subscribers of that news uh, feed will receive a message that the news have been updated. For this purpose, this RSS really simple syndication XML feeds are used. This is called interoperability. Then user-centered design. So as per the user requirement, the design has to be taken place, especially like social networking and wikis. and Google Maps. These are the examples of the user-centered design, where user can pick up whatever the content he want or whatever the point he want from the available resources. The next one is collaboration on the website. That is, you can also interact. Like for example, Wikipedia is there, which is an open encyclopedia. You may also contribute something to the Wikipedia, like for example, GitHub or something, which are open encyclopedias and dictionaries, where you can also contribute or you may also take from that. And cloud computing is also one way of collaborative computing over the web. Interactive data sharing. Obviously, the data sharing is also possible via cloud and via blogs, Ajax, Flash-rich websites, mobile applications. These are the various sources with which we can perform the interactive data sharing. That means Web 2.0 has opened up many opportunities for interaction, especially like social interaction and collaboration by the users. That is, as the number of features increasing, as the number of technical contents or technical issues are increasing, automatically the chance of hacking also increases, because identifying vulnerability in any one of these technical content or technical methods may lead to this application compromise. That is the reason, as a penetration tester, you must be aware of, or at least you must have knowledge of these things, which are minimum and basic architecture that are used by the web application. Then only it is possible for you to plan or work out a suitable plan to perform the penetration testing. The first thing what we have observed is the working of web application. You must have the thorough knowledge of how the web application works. Then thereby you must go through the web application architecture. We must know that all applications will not use all services, and by based upon the working of the web application, you must try to understand the what are the services that are used by the web application. Based on that, you need to go for what are the different features that are adopted in the web application. Is there any interoperability feature available, or is there any user-centered design available, or is there any collaboration with the web and other services are available, or is there any data sharing is available? By looking at these features, we need to identify, or we need to plan as a penetration tester, we need to plan the attacking strategy. This is what the ultimate aim. That is the reason I have discussed these three contents. Next, we will move on to the web application threats. As I have told you previously, there are many possibilities of exploiting the web applications. What are the main sources which the web application threats may be exploited are like this. There may be unvalidated input that may be processed by the web application. There may be a form or parameter tampering. Sometimes form tampering may also happen, or parameter tampering also happen, with which the web application may be compromised. There is a possibility of directory traversal, cookie poisoning. Sometimes the insecure storage of the application content. Information leakage is a main threat. For the information leakage, to avoid it, we may use some encryption mechanisms and all. That means improper encryption mechanisms used by the web applications may also lead to information leakage. Improper error handling. Sometimes errors sometimes will reveal the entire information related to the web application. Broken account, and sometimes some broken account management will also be taken control by the hacker, and the account may be managed by them. So that is the reason proper logging and logout should be maintained. SQL injection, this is the most commonly performing attack, as we have seen previously. Denial of service, the application vulnerability may be exploited to perform the denial of service attack. As we have seen in the denial of service, this can be performed with the at the various levels of protocol stack. Next one is buffer overflow attack. The flaw in the service software that is used in the web application development may be exploited to get this buffer overflow attack. So while developing the web application, the program, whatever you are using, whatever the packages that are using, you must be very careful in not to choose unlimited memory creating methods. You try to avoid such methods and may proceed for the application development. Cross-site scripting, injection flaws, and cross-site request forgery, which is called CSRF, broken access control, security misconfiguration, broken session management. Many of the web servers will work with the help of log that is they are recording. So log tampering may also give the or will leave the impact that the web server cannot trace to the log and can recover the previous transaction. It is also true for the database servers. Both the servers, either it may be a web server or database server or at least an operating system, everyone will maintain a log of the incoming transactions, executed transactions, operations performed, everything. So the tampering of log may not may lead to uh, uncovering of or irrecoverable damage to the servers. Platform exploits. Platform exploits especially will be observed via observing the vulnerabilities on related operating systems on which the web servers are launched. Insecure direct object reference, insufficient transport layer protection, that means use of the outdated TLS or SSL protocol, insecure cryptographic storage, that means using of the weak passwords, weak encryption, and guessable passwords, etc. Cookie snooping, DMZ protocol attack, which is a DMZ zone that you are going to provide at the entry level of the organization. Security management exploit, authentication hijacking, network access attacks, hidden field manipulation, obfuscation attack or application, failure to restrict access to the URL, web services attack, because many web applications use the web services like XML and the web services like SOAP and many other processing things for the XML may be used by the web applications. So these web services, not servers, web services may be a target point for the attackers because they will especially process the information. Next one is CAPTCHA attack. This CAPTCHA attack is the most frequently performing attack. Basically, this CAPTCHA was introduced not to conduct multiple attacks or multiple logging attacks on the web application, but these CAPTCHAs can be bypassed to launch the web application attack. Basically, these CAPTCHAs will become if the CAPTCHA is very simple to understand, then it is very easy to perform the bypassing. That is the reason as the days are increasing, the complexity of the CAPTCHA is also increasing. Like identify the lines in the images or identify the bicycle in the images. So like that, some difficult CAPTCHAs were placed to avoid the phishing attacks on the web applications. Basically, this CAPTCHA can also be overlooked by the attackers once if the improper CAPTCHA mechanism has been maintained. So these are the various web application threats that can be observed. So these web application threats can be discussed in detail one by one. We'll see this detailed description of these web application threats and the root causes of these web application threats, how to overcome these web application threats in the next lecture.